Stephen and Mars, college roommate. I'm pretty sure it's pretty easy to recognize me. I'm literally the only brown man in this room. Back in college, Stephen and I hung out so much, people that thought that we were actually gay. And I remember one time, a classmate saw Stephen and Mars kissing, and then ran up to one of my friends and said, "Oh my God, do you know that Stephen is cheating on Misha Mars?" But before I start making fun of Stephen and calling him a big smell, as I will for the rest of this speech, and sharing more stories, please let me take a moment to thank everyone for coming out and here today celebrate this special bond with this lovely couple. As a roommate, I feel very privileged to have witnessed the growth of their wonderful relationship from the time I started noticing them hanging out in the SEC building on campus, to now visiting their lovely home and playing with their adorable pet rats. I actually met Stephen on the first day of college. We were sitting next to each other in freshman orientation, Pinto and Prajapati, and I overheard him talking about anime. So I said, "I like anime, you and me friends?" And now many years later, he's stuck with me, telling him that he smells on his wedding night. We've made a lot of great memories together, from playing video games and watching anime in each other's rooms, to visiting Stephen's parents, Jim and Lissa, who have a beautiful and long-lasting marriage. I will always remember the taste of Lissa's pumpkin cookies and playing with her adorable pet doggos. I also loved when we would cook together in our apartment, my favorite dish always being Mars's chicken katsu. And I'll always be eternally grateful to her, because after a long day at school and work, where I'd come home at 9 or 10 p.m., she'd always pop out of the room and let me know that she made an extra portion of dinner for me. And she'll always be my favorite college roommate, despite having her own separate apartment that she never actually stayed at. And I'd like to add, if it weren't for Mars, Stephen would still be eating like boxed pasta with ragu sauce, thinking he's like Gordon Ramsay. I will say one nice thing about Stephen though. He's definitely one of the smartest people I've ever met. Like, he's the only person I know who would stare at a professor for like 2 hours during lecture, barely take any notes, and still pass the test with an A. He's also the type of person who does a ton of research no matter what he's doing. Like, if he's buying a spoon off of Amazon, you know he's watching 100+ hour videos of reviews talking about how aerodynamic the spoon is, or how many grams of liquid it holds. And this hyperfixation over research bleeds into like all areas of his life. Like, when Stephen and I started lifting weights, we'd be there in the gym room, two lanky dudes struggling to squat just an empty bar, with Stephen wearing his weightlifting belt literally at like the last notch. And Stephen, of course, has learned all the names of every muscle group better than your average med student, and explained to me how we're really working on our quadriceps right now. Meanwhile, there's a buff guy just angrily staring at us, thinking, when will these weird nerds finish? They're sad and just leave. Or that time when he was obsessed with Linux, which is something similar to Windows or Mac OS. And during this time, I don't think Stephen had a functioning computer longer than 3 days. He'd basically completely wipe his computer at least once a week just to install a new version of Linux. And it got so bad when I think he came up to me one day and said that, "Hey Amish, this one doesn't even come with a default image viewer." And I had to be like, "Stephen, I think you kind of want to view images on your computer." And then I'd watch him spend like the next 45 minutes trying to open up a Word document in the terminal. And if you're wondering, yeah, this is what he did instead of studying like the rest of us. Recently, he's been obsessed with coffee. And the last time I visited him, his kitchen looked like a scene out of Breaking Bad. But instead of making meth, he's making one of the best cups of coffee I've ever had. And now Stephen's newest obsession is marriage. I can guarantee you, Mars, that he's put in 100+ hours researching on how to be the best husband he can be. And as his former fake gay boyfriend, I can assure you, you're in good hands. Thank you, everyone. And now please join me in raising our glasses to this amazing couple, Stephen and Mars Pinto.
All right, thank you, Amish. Please put your hands together one more time, please.